Hello. 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 So, welcome to another brand new episode of Android Development. This is a free Android development webinar, and please accept my apologies towards the little bit of delay in the start of this webinar due to some technical errors. This is free Android webinar episode number 5, which will be providing you different technology or different techniques to develop your first Android application. Myself, Marindra, lead Android developer from SOU. As we all know that Android is the platform to develop your mobile application. This is an unlimited scope, or this is provided by the Google, which will allow you to develop any kind of application. You just need to imagine something in order to develop your application. I'd like to give you all a warm welcome to yet another Android development session, which is sponsored by STMS and managed in sagesofuniverse.com. Feel free to go through our website. Myself, Marindra, lead developer. I'm currently working on STMS internal project. You can freely visit our website for detail and for more different information. This is a brand new episode which will be concluding about different kind of logical operations, as we already developed our simple application in which we were familiar on how to use an Android button in the previous versions or previous of our seminars or our webinar, where we went through the development of Android application using Android button, and I definitely introduce you all about what Android application can do or what are the essential things in order to develop our Android application. In that application, we definitely did something about buttons. We developed button. We added some of on-click function on those buttons. We made our two of different text fields, and we showed the text field a result with the click of an Android button. So in this webinar, what we will be doing is we'll be creating views. We'll be doing some mathematical operations for the user input. For example, if user gives the input like number and stores that in a view and again goes for another input or same input and clicks on an Android button, then the user will be able to like get the result of the uh, different numbers that the user has just uh, entered on the Android screen. By doing so, we'll be developing our knowledge, developing our technique on how to actually play with Android inputs and manipulate those Android inputs with the help of Android buttons. So that will definitely be introducing you all who are viewing this webinar, or will give you somehow like how to actually play with Android text fields or any kind of Android views. Because what we need to know is whenever we move forward in developing any kind of Android application, we definitely will be in need of knowing the basics of everything that we are going to use. So, for example, in this webinar, if we are using some kind of views like text field is also an example of a view. So that if you are playing with a view or text field, for example, you will be able to know everything that you need to know about the text field. So playing those text fields or manipulating the input of those text fields with the help of an Android button will be a plus point, because in some of other applications that you want to develop with the help of an Android Studio, that definitely is what we are using, or that definitely was something that we used in our previous webinars as well. So there is no need to worry on what we need to have in our mind in order to develop our Android application. So in this application, we'll be developing views simply, and we'll be manipulating those inputs with the help of button or anything that we want to use. So in this webinar, we'll be manipulating our input with the help of button. And finally, if our text fields and our buttons work completely, we'll be storing our results in some of our Android's internal memory. For example, if you just add 1 plus 1, then the result will be 2. And if you are able to get the output as 2, you can simply manipulate some other data. For example, if you are able to do the plus mathematical operation, definitely you will be able to do multiplication, adding, multiplication, subtraction, division, or any other your mathematical operation will be done simply. But first of all, you should be able to add your two user inputs. If you are able to do that, you will be able to somehow like go with your other mathematical operations. So you just don't need to worry about how it's going to work. So I'll be using Android Studio as we always did. So let me move towards Android Studio. But before moving to Android Studio, what I would like to introduce, or what I would like to pre-inform you, is that whenever I'll be like creating some views, adding some buttons, or manipulating those inputs, I will be trying to show you guys with the output, like the output of our development, or our every step development should be viewed in an actual Android device. So in order to do that, I'll be casting my Android phone in my screen, so that you will be able to know, yeah, that Android application is actually working. This guy over here is not only like presenting with codes, or is just shouting over there just without showing any output. You just don't have to develop that sort of doubt in your mind, because I'll be showing you guys with the output in real time. So with those output, you will be developing that, yeah, this kind of Android application is definitely going to work for myself. So in order to do that, I'll be interfacing my Android phone with my uh, system over here on my screen, so that you'll be able to see that this guy is really developing and is showing the output. So in order to do that, definitely, as I said, I'll be using my Android phone and will be showing my output on my screen. So without any delay, let's move to what we have developed in our previous webinar. Definitely, that is the same screen that we just left on our previous webinar. There was a few of or three of the text fields, which definitely showed three inputs. One with the last one here was definitely showing your, I guess, was the result of the first two input fields or text field, or we can even say that there was simply the decimal field over here. This is under the text field category, which was the decimal number. We inputted two of our text field, which was the decimal, and we added two of those, and so the result, the final one. Even before that, I guess we used an Android button to show the change in text. So before moving to actually what we are going to do in this webinar, I would like to somehow like keep brief on our main activity.java as what we did in our previous webinar. If you move from the top over here, the main activity, which is the Java file, actually developed or extended, which is extends, the word over here, extends activity, definitely is imported from the android.app activity package. Before moving on to today's webinar content, I would like to interrupt in the middle just to inform you that if you have any queries whenever I am coding or whenever I am in design field, feel free to add your question or your confusion, your doubt, or whatever you have on your mind uh, on our email or on our question and answer sections over your screen at the end of the webinar. Because if you keep on compiling your confusion whenever our webinar is on speed on our track, you will not be able to understand some new things on the next webinars or next sessions to come in recent weeks, because you will not be able to understand any kind of further development if you are not understanding this right here, because this over here is real basic to any kind of Android development application. If you want to be Android developer, if you want to develop Android application with your own hand and with your own mind, then definitely you need to understand the basic of your development. So this really is the development phase. Phase is basic. So I would be more than happy if you are asking me questions or your confusions reaches to me because of this webinar. So let's move forward. This was what we did in the last webinar, and what we actually did, or what we actually modified, was we did extended, or by the help of extends keyword, we did extended activity. We did extended activity to be able to work with this add button over here. In this webinar, I'll be adding more of this kind of buttons. For that, let's modify the content. I would like to delete the unwanted this kind of buttons. In this application, I'll use 3 of these text fields as we did in our previous webinar. And we all know that we used first of this text field to user input. This was also for the user input, but this would accept the second user input, and this one will only work if I click on this button. How is it possible for this text field to actually work whenever I click on this button over here? It was because in this button, which is displaying as add, if you look closely, I don't know if this is getting viewed clearly on your screen or not. I hope it is clear. This button is actually working whenever I'm clicking on this, because if you go over here on the properties of the button, which is button 2, and it is displaying add the string, it is working because it has the on-click button, sorry, on-click method. Over here, this is the on-click method. The on-click method works whenever I click on that particular add button. Which has the method add itself. We have 2 XML files inside the layout folder: activity main.xml and content main.xml. The on-click method over here is definitely add, so that whenever I click on this button, it will jump to the main activities.java file, which has the public void add view feed button. And this is the opening and closing. Just ignore this much of code, which just came because of the previous webinar sessions. I just want all of you to be more than confident, so let's move over here and add button. For this one also, I would like to add a button over here. The button definitely is the OK button. I just added a button. Let me just change the button's text, which is new button. This one is add. Actually, instead of adding add, how about using plus symbol for add? It will be perfect. Let us again change new button to, for example, I want to subtract that. That is a subtraction sign, which is, I guess, pretty small. If you let it be, it will be like uh, perfect when it comes to your mobile device. You can view, or I'll be showing with my own Android device right onto my screen. I'm right onto my screen when I complete developing this particular activity over here. Let me just resize that first text field. Let me again add another button that again will be showing new button, that is the button 3. You can track your buttons. This one is the button 2. This is the button minus sign over there. This is the button 3rd with new button as 3. After the new button is added, let me just again change this symbol to multiplication. For example, if I input 1 over here in this first text field whenever this is executed, and again 2 in this text field, therefore definitely if I click on this multiplication button, then it will be showing its result over here. Similarly, if I click minus, it will be again displaying its result, and therefore the same thing for the plus. That is, it will be displaying the addition on this 3rd text field. So in order to actually code for all these, we'll have to move on main activity.java and code somehow similar to this. Ignore this couple of last lines because I am going to store the result of this all operation to my Android device. So I'll be adding it another button. For example, if this button says last answer, this button named as last answer, or this string last answer, if I click on this button, this will be displaying my last actual result of different mathematical operations over here in the last button, or I'm sorry, last text field, which definitely is the number decimal text field, which will be, displaying the last answer of my mathematical operation. So this will be useful when you'll have to recover your previous statements in any kind of application you'll be developing. If you want to fetch your previous calculation, if you want to fetch your previous important dates or anything previous, I mean, like this button will actually be playing with your Android devices memory. So this device or this button over here will be playing or will be fetching memory from your local system. I mean, like from your Android device's internal memory. As we all know that Android will have Android application will have access to your external memory, will have access to your internal memory. So we will be playing with our internal memory at first for a simple operation. For example, if I click on this plus button, this will be storing some kind of result. I mean, like if you press on the plus, or if you click on the plus button over here, it will definitely be adding first to text fields input and will be displaying in this button. That's what we did in our last webinar. But in this webinar, we'll try to, like add this result to our internal memory with the help of this plus button. But before going to the memory or before playing with our internal memory, I would like to uh, make you all more confident on how to actually do all this operation. For simplicity, what I did in our uh, last webinar was we just inputted all this N1, N2, and N3, N1, N2, and N3 different text fields, that is N1, N2, and N3 different text fields, which is definitely edit text, which definitely did came from the palette over here. This is the text field, and this is the number decimal that we used in our last webinar. So in this one, we'll also be doing the same just to keep pace with our development habit, and later on we'll again do as I just informed you earlier, that is we'll be adding our result, different results to our internal memory, and we'll be fetching those internal memory with our last answer button. So let's move again. This is the button 2, which indicates minus a string. There's a little bit of down over here, which will be showing you with the on click method. So in order to indicate on your main activity.java from the content main.xml, I would like to add minus as a string over here, which is rendered as the method minus. But this minus that I just entered with the help of my keyboard, that is the minus, will be the method for my test button, which is the button minus. That is, this button's variable is button, like the variable of this button class was button 2. The only string that we were seeing or we are viewing right now is plus. Similarly, the same thing for multiplication over here, whose variable is button 3 with a text multiplication. If I would want to add some other button, I will go downward over here, drag this one, drop here. Sorry, I just used text field, which I shouldn't be, because I would like to add division button. So I'd like to go over here in the OK button, add this one. Definitely every button that comes from the palette dragged over here, dropped here, will be showing the string new button that definitely is unwanted. So I'll definitely be double clicking on this button and adding whatever I would like to add. I would like to add division sign over here, which is the divide sign, and enter on it. Rendered division. Now this is addition, which is already done. This is subtraction. On click, definitely on click is the action that will be provided from this button. Minus is the name given to the method. So let me go to main activity.java. This is our main activity.java file, which I just introduced to all of you, that this is the main file that will be controlling our design, our user interface. So in this design, I would like to add some code, just simple as addition. Let's go and make method to be named as public void add function, a method, and I would like to inform you all that Uh, since I'm using Android Studio on my Windows device or Windows operating system, it will definitely have some kind of uh, retardedness in this in terms of speed, because definitely you have already known that this development is one of the heaviest developments, so it will take some time. Why I'm adding minus over here is I have this will be a bit slower. Let's move here. This is the minus button. Definitely the button's uh, on-click function is minus, so that's why minus is added. What you need to know is you have to add view v for any object with a view class, which is written as an argument inside of a minus method, which came from this Android package that is imported. Android view and view. This is the view, and we have just used as an argument for our minus method, and its object, that is the object of view v, is view. That's what we need to do. Then move inside of our the text, or move inside of our method in order to get input from this to text field. That is the number decimal input. In order to get input from those, let's make a variable for the text field, that is the edit text. Once that is done, the variables are just declared. After declaration, let's initialize it. Create text, like the previous one, find the view by ID, r.id.n1. What this n1 is that we move to the contained main maximal. This is the first text field that we use, or this is the first numeral or number decimal, whose variable is n1. If you want to, if you would like to change the variable, just double click on the text field and change it from here. Simple, very simple. So you can change the variable name of any text field that you would like. So for example, if I would like to change this, I would double click on that button or that text field, edit text, and change it from here. But right now we don't actually need to change. We just can change and not change it right now, because I would like to move forward with coding in the bottom. So again, initializing the second text or edit text, I would be adding this different. Also over here, so M1 and M2 are two different text fields. Now for the reason, we'll need another text field and 3, which should be typed after again as a text. And find view by ID, or id.n2. Again, let's make double variable. Double, for example, this M1, M2, and M3. I just wanted to indicate that This is for the minus operation. So for minus operation, and when I'm doing empty for double, I like to add minus double one, minus double two, MD2, minus double three, MD3. You can give name of variable as per your choice. But if you give the variable's name uh, in short form for your remembrance, it will be really, really easy and quick to code for your application development. So again, as in previous one, let us just input or let us store this first text field value to our double variable, that is md1, that will be double value of m1 dot text dot to string. So simply, what does this mean is that we are typecasting, or we are sensing, or we are making compatible environment for different variables. For example, if this one md1 is double variable, definitely this is a double variable, but the m1 over here is static text. That means it is a string. Imagine if string and double are equal, then that will be impossible for us to program, because double is numerical value which has decimal, which will have dots in between it, but text field will have strings which will be encoded, or which will be encoded inside inverted commas. So double and string definitely will have no relation. So in order to do that, we'll have to convert either double or either string to double, or the double to string or string to double. And in this case, I just converted the string to double in this way. That is, double the value of will convert this much of value to this was a string value to double. So again, moving forward, similarly, we will be using MD2 because to double the value of M2 dot we get text dot a string, that is to convert every variable string, and finally this string is converted to double. Now the last stage will be to add, or whatever we want to do, md3 equals to md1 minus of md2. Now if I am able to display this md3, then what I need to know is that my subtraction is also displayed. So in order to display our subtraction, what I need to do is definitely simply replacing this E3 as we did in our previous example. So this E3 dot set text, E3 dot set text, E3 was the one over here, and now in our case this is M3 for minus method. M3 the set text will have convert this double variable, this is a double variable, to string. In order to do that, it's string dot value of E3. So finally our minus operation is completed. Now similarly, I would like to ask you all for adding some more code or similar kind of code for your multiplication button and your division button. But before moving on to the last answer section over here, I would like all of you to complete this, because in our next webinar, what we'll be trying to look forward will be to uh, fetch the data written in our Android's internal device, and also write our information to our internal memory of our Android device. But in order to do that, you have to be making sure that, or making yourself ready, that you will be able to add, you will be able to multiply, or everything, every logical operation being carried out. This is really very important, not only to develop your skills, but also to get going with Android application development. Because if you are somehow confused in this kind of simple manipulation, this may not be simple when it get confused, when it will, like, start developing confusion around it. So you just have to be cool on this development phase, basics, especially basics, uh, because this will determine how crazily or how strongly you'll be moving towards your Android application development in your further uh, career. Because this is what determines your ability to develop. The more you play with basic, the more you'll be able to go with the advanced thing. Because if you are able to, or if your flow is really very good in your basics, there's no need to worry about the advanced thing. Those advanced things will keep on coming, and you'll be playing those imaginations or those logics in your brain if you have the really good command. If you have really good command in the basics, there's no need to worry about any other things inside the Android application development field, because that's what makes you going, and that's what I'm focusing on about on those things. That's what I'm focusing on throughout our webinar sessions. What I'd like to inform you is that because of our delay in our uh, starting of our Android webinar, we went uh, we started a little uh, lately, just because of our technical errors. So in this webinar, we just try to like show you how we can add different operators, different logical operator, and we try to operate those logical buttons. Now, in the next webinar, I would like all of you to develop all this button, at least all of this button, so that you can simply be able to go with more other thing than logical operations. Because if you are uh, really going easily with the logical operation, definitely you will not be uh, like stopped in the middle of the other things. So in the next webinar, I'll be adding all those results. I mean, this result with every click of this button, or this button, or any other these two buttons. For example, if I just got answer 5, that particular answer 5 will be stored on our Android's internal memory with the click of our Android device. And if I want to read the last answer, I'll be clicking on this button, and that last answer will be displayed in this text field, or this number text field, number decimal text field, which will be saying that that particular 5 was the last answer because of addition, or because of multiplication, or because of subtraction, or because of division. That will be displayed in here. This is what my target is for the next coming webinar. But for that, I definitely be expecting something from all of you. You will be completing addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or any other logical operation that we have, or we can imagine. I'd like to uh, know your views for that. And if you are completed, or if you have completed done that, then only one, then only I'll be moving forward to the last answer question here, which will be definitely the file handling. We'll be doing file handling in our next webinar. That will be writing and reading data from our files that will be stored in our internal memory of our Android device. So in this webinar, what we did, we created view, we tried to add some mathematical operators and user input, and we would like to uh, add those results to our memory and fetch them, but because of delay in our uh, webinar session, we were not able to complete this. So no need to worry. We'll be doing this in our next webinar, and also we'll be doing some more fun with our development. So this will be the first part for our next Android development uh, session. We'll be doing this at first. We'll be fetching and storing result, and we'll take output with APK file in our real-time screen, and we'll also be discussing some more ways or simple ways to add code. So this is what we did, extended activity, created our own method. That was a minus method in our this webinar. We'll be using some more logical code in our next session. We'll be creating views. We definitely did created views as well in this webinar. We'll be definitely added in this one as well, performed some logical operation. As we all know that more the time you spend in coding, the more logical expression or experience will be getting through your basic to Android application development successes. This is the third topic that we are going to do, or we are going to develop in our next webinar, and definitely we'll be checking our output in every of our webinars with the help of the online screen lab. If you guys, some of you don't know that our real Android applications screen can also be shared on our computer's screen by the help of some software or by the cast or screen casting technology that is available in our Android device. So we'll be using those technologies in order to display what is happening in our actual Android device with our development. So that will be presented to all of you in our next webinar. So no need to worry about it. And I'd like to thank you all for your kind and hearing time to view our webinar, to know something from it. And if you have any questions, any confusion, or any kind of obstacles that is blocking you from developing this simplest application that we just presented, feel free to write your queries, your confusion, or anything that you have while really putting your hand on code. We are here to help you out, to help you accomplish or develop your Android application. This is the real basic. This is the base. So feel free to go through your Android applications development, confusion queries. We are here every time to solve it. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next webinar.